Hey, gang. I just want to touch base. I had an inbox the other day from a clinic owner actually who reached out to me and said, "Hey, Chrissy, I've been listening to your podcast and I really need some help with my team. What has happened is that there has been a team member, obviously, that has been quite challenging with some of her behaviours, and there has been some other team members that have been upset with that and they've been having their own issues. What do I do?" So the question also from the clinic owner was, do I just get them all together in a big group and just address it? And I think there's a couple of parts that I want to talk about in regards to how you might address team based issues in a group setting. Because I think it's the holy grail. Like, if you can actually build your team up to a level where they are able to have safe, calm, productive conflict in a group to the point where they can self resolve, I honestly think that's the holy grail of team functioning, right? But unfortunately, most of the time in early team development or even early leadership development, you don't have a team that are high functioning. Okay, so to bring a team together to address a problem and where they might be limited in their communication skills, they might be prone to emotional instability, reactiveness, is actually potentially going to do more harm than good to bring them together to resolve it because they don't have the skills, right? So I think that, yes, the holy grail is that you want to be able to bring teams together, broach an issue, and have them able to communicate and negotiate with one another to get a favourable outcome. Okay, but 99.9% of the time, the work hasn't been done with the team to get them to that level. So, what do you do as an alternative? My advice to this business owner was that, you know, it's probably not a good, but based on some of the presentations of the team members, I said, I don't think they've got the capacity to resolve in a group. And the risk is that if you were to bring that together in a group format, that could potentially create chaos. That you would have people that would get really defensive, they could get quite aggressive, they could be hurt and upset by the public forum, and actually you end up in a worse off situation than what you started. Okay, so but it doesn't necessarily mean that you neglect the team activity altogether. It just means that you have to depersonalize it a little bit. So, what I suggested to this clinic owner was, why don't you get them to do an activity together that is not directly related to the problem situation or the conflict, but is actually about team culture? Because the underlying problem that this clinic owner has is actually about unhealthy team culture. Okay, it shows up in lots of different ways. It shows up in, defensiveness and difficulties with negotiating conflict, and it shows up in lots of different forms. But effectively, what you're dealing with here is work that needs to be done on the team culture to build it to a high functioning level so that they can actually self resolve these things and you don't always have to, get involved. So, why don't we address the unhealthy team culture? And I said to her, you can engage them in an exercise where they're able to identify what contributes to a healthy team culture. What would we see? What would we hear? What would we observe? What behaviours would we be seeing or engaging in? And you could do a brainstorm around all of that, right? And then you could actually get the team members to rate themselves. How do they feel like they're behaving or contributing to healthy team culture on a scale of 1 to 10? With 10 being, I feel like I'm 100% contributing in a healthy way, to 1, I need a lot of work, whatever that might be. And again, the benefit of that is the ownership that they're taking. It's about generating the awareness around, there's some behaviours on here that I'm possibly not, engaging in or displaying that I probably need to. Therefore, I'm not going to rate myself a 10. And then also that the good thing about that is that not only have you raised awareness, but you've also pointed out things in a non sort of persecutory way that some behaviours might need to be addressed. Okay. And then I said to her, you could also get them to, grade the team. Like how do we feel like on a scale of 1 to 10, the team is functioning at the moment in terms of healthy culture, right? So it's an indirect way of addressing the problem, which is unhealthy team culture, but doing it in a way that is not directed or targeted at anyone, but is still getting the group to interact in a way that is working together on some sort of resolution or desirable outcome, right? So it's really important. And I just said to her, do that as a group and then take note of the individual responses. And for those that might not have rated themselves a 10, in the one-to-one meetings, you can unpack that. You can say to the team members in a private conversation, you rated yourself a 4. What do you need to do more of? What do you need to do less of? Can I help you with any of that? So you can take some of those conversations offline in a one-to-one and unpack it in a little bit more depth or in a little bit more personalized manner, right? So that they don't feel affronted or challenged by the group setting and having to, address some of those things in the public forum. So it's really important. I think that it is important to bring the team together and address team issues, but there has to be a degree of safety attached to that in the way that you set that up. And in order to get the team self-resolving issues, there does need to be a high degree of functioning, and I call functioning, that's what's their ability to communicate. Do they have good communication skills? Do they have good self-regulation skills? Do they have healthy relationships? Is there good levels of connectedness? That's a high-functioning team, right? Without that, it is a risk to bring specific issues to the table and get them to talk about it. Because the chances that they're going to, start being defensive or attacking one another is quite high, which means that they'll leave worse off than what they came. And that's not the desired outcome. Right, so something to think about in terms of team functioning and addressing issues. When don't I bring it together in a group forum? Hopefully that's provided you with some additional insights.